Before I get into this video, I wanted to tell you about the well real quick. So 2 days ago, I think it was, we had an all-day rain, and it wasn't just like a mist or a shower or anything. It was pretty consistent rain, but not terrible. And then, I don't know, probably 7 or 8 o'clock at night, it absolutely downpoured for probably about an hour. Water was running everywhere. I mean, it's hard to explain. The ditch by the road overflowed and was rushing down to my wooded area where the creek is. Now, the creek is a dry creek. I mean, occasionally it's got some water in it, but it was a river. It was so much water in that little creek that I could not cross to get to the other side of the property without getting my feet wet. I have waterproof boots, so the ankle high. It was pretty saturated everywhere when I walked around, but it would have probably came up to my shin, I guess is probably a better way to explain the creek. Now, I have a culvert over there that the first rain of every spring, you know, the heavy rain, that culvert gets clogged up because all the leaves from up the hill rush down into my culvert and clog it up. I brushed it out the best I could, but in the end, water was still rushing down towards the well. In the past, that would have just dirtied up my well for 3 or 4 days. It would have been terrible. But I was able to redirect it. I've showed you that I've kind of dug some ditches here. So I was able to redirect it with this ditch here. And I noticed that the water was running. I'll explain a little bit better. I guess down into the well area down in here. So I took this and tried to catch some of that water so it would run off into the ditch. I know that sounds silly, but I had a couple of these lined up. That way the water was just being redirected into this ditch. And it was just, this ditch was almost overflowing. That's how much water there was. So to kind of give you an idea, this is always dry down here since I've dug the ditch. But there was water in here. So I was pretty convinced that the well was going to be dirty. Anytime there's water in this, in the past, before I fixed it all up, the well was dirty. Now, I have another ditch that I've dug here, and so that water can run off. And primarily because I've got this guttered, so the water will run that direction, everything downhill. So the water was running off. So I figured we were going to be without water from the well for 2 or 3 days. So this morning I got up to check it, and it was clean. I was just absolutely amazed that it was clean. So once again, I know I said this several times last year, it appears that I've pretty much fixed the well. You know, I worry. I don't know why I worry about this. I will never sell this place. But I worry that if I were to sell this place for some unforeseen reason, how would I sell the well? I mean, when we bought it, we came down just to make sure the well was here, and we were happy that it was here and it had water in it. But if somebody came to buy it, I would think I would have to disclose that it's not a great well. It's an old antique and it leaks and it has issues. And I don't think I would ever be able to sell the property. So it just doesn't matter. And the property wasn't that much anyways. It was, you know, $4,200 for this place. And if I get that much out of it or a little more, that would be great. Of course, I built a tiny house, so that might add a little bit of value to the place. But again, I'm not looking to sell it ever. Even if I just left here, I'd probably just pay the $40-something in taxes every year and just, I mean, what difference does it make? But I'm glad that the water wasn't dirty. So I wanted to come down here and talk to you about our intruder. So this morning when I turned on the well, I recognized pretty quickly that there was a problem with the solar panels. Now last year, you will know that I did some upgrades to the solar panel system. And primarily when I say the system, I'm talking about the charge controllers. This is the original charge controller I had, and it was only sending about 30 amps, I think it was, to the batteries at max, even though I had 50 amps of batteries. Long story, I don't want to explain all that again, but in the end I realized I needed another charge controller. Now the charge controller should have been able to handle 50 amps just fine, but I think it's just the computer in it thought I only had 100 amps worth of batteries. It doesn't matter. It was only giving me 30 amps out of a possible 50. So I bought a second charge controller and 2 new panels. So I put 6 panels on each charge controller. 6 on this one, 6 on that one, obviously. And it has made life a lot easier troubleshooting any issues I have. So when I turned on the well, I noticed that this one, because of the angle of the sun this morning, was giving me 23 amps, which is about right for that time of the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning or so. But this one was only giving me 17 amps. So I immediately knew one of those 6 solar panels had a problem. So normally what I got to do is I got to isolate every solar panel. So essentially cover them all up except one. And then I can tell if that one is bad. If it's not bad, then I cover it up. I expose another panel. And if I get any amps out of that, then I know that one's not bad. And I just keep continuing until I find one producing 0 amps. Well, I walked outside to grab a cover and I instantly saw what happened. It's the first time it's been this easy, to be honest. Now, I put these solar panels up here just for winter time because the sun was getting blocked by the trees. I'll bring these down. Actually, I should have done it any time now. I can do it. So the wires are kind of just hanging out everywhere. And I know everybody thinks I should do a better job and put it on a stand. The reason I don't put solar panels on a stand is because I can move them around just like this. Or if there's going to be a hailstorm, I can turn them all upside down so they don't get hit by the hail. The third reason, and probably the most significant reason, is heat. When I took them off the ground, the panels were getting hotter. When I set them down like this, they got cooler. My assumption is that the ground has a coolness to it and it's kind of absorbed some of that heat. And solar panels are less efficient in the heat. So I came out here and I knew it was going to be one of these 3 or one of these 3 up here. That's the 6 that goes into the charge controller. Walked out of here and it was this wire had been ripped out. Right there, it was just dangling. So trying to figure out what happened, and it was pretty obvious because then I saw paw prints and different things. So we had a wildlife last night, must have, or even through that storm, because that storm was pretty bad, run through here and knock that wire loose. It's not terrible, but it's just so much easier to identify the problems when everything's organized like this. When I had everything in that truck camper, obviously you will remember I had a truck camper here, we just disassembled it. Nothing was organized. It was impossible, just trying to get things established, but we get out everything in the shed, all the batteries and charge control and everything, and it's been so much better. Now, one thing I wanted to mention, so the other day I was, I guess it was a few nights ago, I was in the chicken run. Chickens go to sleep by themselves. Ah, look at this. Something's out here digging. So yeah, there was some sort of wildlife. There's marks over there. The chickens put themselves to bed probably about 7 o'clock at night. And I was coming out here feeding them and watering them. And then all I got to do is check for eggs in the chicken coop, because this time of the year, they don't necessarily just go in the nesting box. They kind of lay them everywhere. I guess that's how Easter got where you colored your eggs, because we have colored eggs everywhere. So I look in there and there's a mouse in the chicken coop. Oh, dang it. I'm gonna have to figure out how to get him out of there. Well, he decided to come out on his own. And the only thing I had on me at the time was my .22 pistol. So I put my headlight on him because it was dark, and he just sat there, didn't move. I guess, I don't know, I would guess he was trying to hide by not moving. So I took out my .22 and I got that mouse So I had an intruder last night in that chicken coop also. I tell you, things are getting so much easier around here. Life is finally getting to a point, well, I mean, I say finally, it's been to a point, but things just, everything's better. Solar panels are easier to fix, even though I get a lot of criticism, I think primarily from trolls, that they need to be better organized, the panels themselves, and that the chicken run needs cleaned up. But I'm very happy with the chicken run the way it is. I know, I would imagine on camera it looks terrible, but it's easy to fix if there's a problem with it, easy to rearrange, cheap. There's just a lot of advantages to the way we do it. And then that old well, I could have spent $5,200 to dig a new well or more, or I could try to repair this one for $500. It's been complicated, but we finally got it. I don't know, it's just, I think there's such a huge expectation from some of the people in the audience of perfection, which is exactly the opposite of what I'm trying to explain. You can be happy without all the toys. I'm certainly happy, and I don't have the toys. I got a tiny house, a little chick coop, some solar panels. What more can you ask for? I'm sure somebody can think of something, but I don't need it. So if you click this up next box, it'll take you to a video where I was talking about major catastrophe here. So hope I can inspire you to be happy with less when you're living your dreams. Thanks for watching.